Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is No Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm very happy to be here with you today. Well, today we have one more in the chapter of really stupid laws. One of these things that you look at and you find out that someone's trying to put it on the books, and you have to say to yourself, what in the world were you thinking? And in this case, we're talking about New York State and its ability to make its citizens less safe. This is dumb, and we're going to get into this. But first, if you have not been on the program before, we do long-form political commentary on this channel. And every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, on all the mediums that the internet overlords will allow, to be able to speak with you and hear what you have to say about the issues that affect us all. We take your comments and your calls and speak with you directly because we believe in the First Amendment. And we hope to see you on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, talking about today's issue, and it's in reference to guns, firearms in America, and more importantly, about protecting yourself from guns and firearms in America. There's a lot that can be said about it. But New York State is one of the leaders across the country in gun control issues. New York State loves to try and restrict people's Second Amendment rights, but it doesn't stop there. Just as with the New York SAFE Act, which has been ruled in many parts unconstitutional, and also with the red flag laws, which denies American citizens the ability to have the Fifth Amendment, the Fourth Amendment. New York State likes to make people unsafe, and they like to do it in a very unconstitutional manner, which is very upsetting. Let me explain what I mean. See, in New York State, we have a bill. Now, in 2019, that was Assembly Bill A352. It was posed in, I believe it was, and I want to be exact here, August 23rd of 2019. Assembly members David McDonough and Michael Monsanto decided that no one in New York State should be allowed to have body armor. Let me say that again, and I'll quote the bill. The unlawful purchase or possession of a body vest prohibits the purchase of possession of a body vest and establishes that the purchase or possession of a body vest shall be a Class A misdemeanor for the first offense and a Class E felony for subsequent offenses. That's right, it is a felony. They would like, some in New York State would like it to be a felony for an American citizen to have body armor. And I want you to think about that. We're talking about a bulletproof vest. That's what they want. If you own a bulletproof vest in New York, there are members of the New York Assembly and therefore the New York population, it would seem, but more likely the legislative class, that want to give you a crime. It is a crime to own body armor. What is a bulletproof vest? It's a way to protect you. It's a way to protect your life. That's what a bulletproof vest does. Now, I'm not sure if anyone is aware, and I'm not aware of it, of how a bulletproof vest is able to harm others. Perhaps I'm misunderstanding something here, but in every example I can find of a bulletproof vest, there is literally zero offensive capabilities of a bulletproof vest. No matter what type you're looking at, there are no offensive capabilities. So when you hear of a bill that has been created by members of New York State's Democratic single-party legislature, you have to ask yourself, why are they doing this? Now, and I want to be very clear, in 2019, New York State is a single-party rule, just as it is right now. Democrats controlled all of the party. They have control of the state legislature and Governor Cuomo. So they were able to pass anything that they want. And in looking at this bill, which is very straightforward, says you just can't have body armor. Well, that's 2019, you'll tell me. And say, Mike, that's over 18 months ago. It doesn't matter. Dumb bill, who cares? I care because it's now New York State Assembly Bill A352. And in Bill A352, once again, we see the same list of individuals. Assemblymember Jacobson, McDonough, Monsanto, and Gottfried. It's growing. There is a growing number of members of New York State's legislature that want to prevent American citizens from owning a body vest, a bulletproof vest, a device that is designed specifically to protect you from gun violence, a device that is meant to keep you safe, that has zero offensive capabilities. Why? This is a really simple one. I can't imagine this conversation being very long, but it is a conversation that apparently needs to be had with the New York State Assembly and the legislature, and to ask them, why are you trying to make American citizens, in particular residents of New York, less safe? When this was sent to me by one of the audience members and said, Mike, you won't believe this when you see this. You got to check it out. I looked at it and I thought, this has got to be crazy. And I looked back and I saw in 2019, they were trying to do this then. And I'm thinking to myself, why in the world would you do that? I mean, we know that New York State there's more violence in New York State because of the coronavirus and the regulations put against American citizens about that. We can see that violent crimes with firearms has increased 23% as of March. And we know that we ended the year in New York City alone with about 197% increase in firearm violence and death. Mind you, it's not nearly as bad as in Chicago, where there were over 4,000 victims of firearm violence, but still bad enough. And yet we have to sit back and wonder, with that fact, with that knowledge that gun violence is up. And again, you think that the New York, we just showed you the New York GEV report, which up until March, the 2020 numbers have not been finalized, but we knew in the first 3 months of New York, in 2020, that violence is up, murder up. So rape and robbery and aggravated assault up. This is a problem. And at a time where American citizens are being confined in their homes, are being subject to more assaults and robberies and domestic abuse, and this has led to more violent crime, why wouldn't anyone want American citizens to be able to be safer? It makes no sense. And in case you don't believe New York State's statistics, let's look at statistics from the NCBI. And this report, which came out in May 7th of 2020, talking about the increase in violence in New York, Baltimore, Chicago, and LA. And looking at the chart as you are right now, you can see in every case, there is more violence in 2020 than in any time or in the other years here, 2018, 2019, and 2020. Now, New York wasn't as bad as Baltimore, Chicago, and apparently LA, but still bad enough. And more importantly, it's still happening. So why in the world would New York State say a citizen can't have it? There is a caveat here. Now, I want to be very clear. According to 18 U.S. Code Section 931, federal government prohibition on purchase, ownership, or possession of body armor by violent felons. Keyword, violent felons. this is true in all 50 states, that A, in general, except as provided by Section B, subsection B, it shall be unlawful for a person to purchase, own, or possess body armor if that person has been convicted of a felony that is, 1, a crime of violence, or 2, an offense under state law that would constitute a crime of violence under paragraph 1 if it occurred within the special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States. So let's boil that down from the legalese. If you are a convicted felon, you can't own a bulletproof vest, according to the federal government. But American citizens can own a body armor, bulletproof vest. It's perfectly legal. And you know why? Because there is zero offensive capabilities of body armor, a bulletproof vest. This is, my mind is literally melting from the idiocy that comes from New York State. They have them for children size. So your kid can go to school without having to worry about the ever deadly, ever crazy mass school shooting, which is something that Democrats seem to be terrified of. And they tell us that's why we need gun control. Well, if you're so terrified of gun control and you're so terrified of mass shootings, and why are you going to stop children from being able to be protected? Which is what we are seeing in this law, or this proposal for a law from the New York State Assembly, Bill A352. And for each and every one, and I know what the answer is here. See, the answer that we get whenever I speak to members of the Assembly, I speak to members of the Senate, and I see some incredibly stupid bill like this one, and I ask them, why does this exist? Their answer almost always has been, oh, don't worry, it won't get passed. No one is going to support this. It won't go anywhere. You have nothing to worry about. It's just useless. If it's useless, then why is it being done? That is a waste of taxpayer money. We are literally wasting taxpayers' money and time by having members not represent the people that elected them and doing things to harm them. So it's a waste of money and time. It shouldn't exist, but it does exist. And by the fact that it exists, it means it can get passed, especially when we are looking at under COVID-19 emergency regulations in New York State, as well as in states like California and in Michigan, which we often mention, and even Pennsylvania. It is possible that at any moment, Governor Cuomo can wake up, have a bad cup of coffee, and decide, I'm going to make this a law, because he can. This is stupid for it to even be on the books as an idea. And it is an idea for those who are saying, well, Mike, it's never going to go anywhere. No one supports this. I have to say, there are 4 members of the New York State Assembly who are now backing this bill, as opposed to in 2019 when there was 2. 2 people who were behind this. There are now 4. So it's actually gained double the support. 100% more people support this than at any time before. Let me read the bill exactly to you so that you know what it actually says. And it says, Section 1, the penal law is amended such that a person is guilty of unlawful purchase or possession of a body vest, body armor, a bulletproof vest, when he or she knowingly and unlawfully purchases or possesses a body vest or a bulletproof vest or body armor, as such term is defined in subsection 2 of the section of this article. This section shall not apply to active law enforcement or those whose occupations require the use of body armor as determined by the Department of State. So if your job says you have to have it, it's okay. Everyone else is a criminal. Yes, we just read that right. If you want to protect yourself or your kids from some crazed individual or some criminal who wants to commit a mass shooting or rob you or rape you or assault you, well, that is illegal if they can pass this law. Going on, unlawful purchase or possession of body armor is a Class A misdemeanor for the first offense and a Class E felony for any subsequent offense. So if you wear it and you get caught, then you're in trouble. And if you get caught twice, well, now you've got a felony. You would become a felon, which would then make it impossible for you to have it under 18 U.S. Code 931. That doesn't seem to make any sense. That doesn't seem to help anyone. And it doesn't make any sense that they want to do this to you, that they're making you have this. I don't understand. I don't understand. Does anyone understand this? That you are not allowed to own something that will protect you, that has zero offensive capabilities. There has been no one in the history of the United States that has been killed because of a bulletproof vest, because of body armor. It is a defensive protection. What is wrong with this state? What is seriously wrong with the people who are in this state? I don't have words. I am literally at a loss for words, and all I can say is I am incredibly upset. These people, Assemblyman Jacobson, Assemblyman McDonough, Assemblyman Monsanto, Assemblyman Gottfried, go to your psychologist and get checked out. You guys are mental. Something is deficient with you, and I don't know what it is. But you need to remove this. You need to allow people to protect themselves. I understand why criminals are not allowed by federal law. That if you have committed a crime, a violent crime, and you have that on, I understand there is the fear of them committing a crime. But regular U.S. citizens not being allowed to defend themselves, to protect themselves? Please explain this to the people of New York, why you would rather have mom and dad or son, a daughter get shot and killed rather than be able to protect themselves. Please explain that explicitly in clear language, why you think that Bobby going to school should be shot dead rather than have the ability to protect himself. Why mom should be able to be killed rather than be able to protect herself. You need to explain this. And if you don't want to explain this, remove the bill until you have the balls to do it. That's all I have to say on this one. I'm sorry, I gotta go. It's got me too upset.